I was born on this land, and if I get my way, I'll go out here too. Boots on, sun on my neck, not under a tractor, and definitely not because a neighborhood committee decided my life should come with a bill the day they demanded 60% of my profits. I thought it was a joke. Then I saw the clipboard and the smile that said it wasn't. And that was the moment I knew this wasn't business, it was a shakedown. My name's John Miller, 45, husband to Laura, who keeps our books and our family steady, to Cassie, who studies environmental engineering and tells me when the wind is lying, and Lucas, who believes Friday night lights are church with bleachers. Third generation on 3,000 acres of sweat-soaked Kentucky ground, where cattle bawl at dawn, sheep crowd gates like gossips, greenhouses fog up, and the soil still remembers my father. And his father. We weren't rich, but we were rooted, and for years we had a neighborly deal with Silver Creek Estates, the HOA on our boundary, that bought eggs and produce at a fair rate, while we used their lake to fish or float and cool the dog. When July turned mean. No signatures, just handshakes and holiday baskets, smoked ham going one way, peppermint bark the other simple piece. Then it got quiet in that way. That means trouble. Their Wednesday truck stopped coming. The lake security kid told us members only and wouldn't meet my eye. The old board president's voicemail was a brick wall, and a new name started buzzing around town. Like a fly in a jar. Karen Riley. Ex-attorney, big city confidence, cream blazer that didn't know dirt. She didn't call. She arrived SUV crunching our gravel. Two board folks sliding out like interns for a takeover. Clipboarded sunglasses. The whole boardroom costume. Mr. Miller, she said perfectly. Pleasant, like we were in a hotel lobby. We need to realign our cooperative relationship. I told her to speak plain, and she did 60% of our net profits to the Silver Creek HOA for continued access to their infrastructure and weekly food deliveries refuse. And they'd cut the lake access and pursue environmental and land use actions. The words sounded clean. The intent didn't. I asked if she was serious. She smiled. The way people smile in headshots. You have 7 days to respond, she said. After that, we'll assume refusal and proceed, and something in me snapped. I called it what it was, extortion. Told them to get off my land. Watched the business card blow across the dirt like a dried leaf, and felt my pulse hit my tongue. You think a war shows up with noise, but the quiet kind comes with paper. The letters arrived first, one from a law firm that smelled like a scented candle, urging voluntary compliance with the HOA's revised community alignment policy, and hinting at third-party audits, road restrictions, and eminent domain under public use. If I didn't play nice, you ever feel a word cut you? That one did. Then a notice from their brand new Environmental Oversight Committee, official. Humility. At the same time, our main service road sprouted a construction closure sign with cones and an empty truck parked just right to block our route. No permit at the county. No workers. Just inconvenience, disguised as caution. We rerouted down the back road that hates freight and drinks diesel. Like its free shipments went late, margins thinned, and while we hustled, 2 black drums showed up, tucked in the trees near the HOA fence line. One lid slit. The smell wrong. In a way you don't forget. Sheriff took samples. Shook his head. Our trail cam. There had been ripped out clean. Someone knew where. We watched nights got longer after that, I at the kitchen window with a shotgun across my lap. dog at my feet pretending calm, hearing every creak like a footstep. The phone lit up with anonymous reports, state and county inspectors walking my property with clipboards and apologetic eyes. Most were decent folks doing their job, but rumors travel faster than truth. A restaurant paused our order. A co-op followed. 3 cameras near the border were dead or missing. The deputy logged my complaint and stared into his coffee like it had answers. And I felt the place I'd always known tilt under my boots. Then Moose, our Anatolian, earned his supper. 52 a.m. Floodlights exploded. 2 figures ran between the tool shed and the north silo. One cleared the fence. The other met 140 pounds of good dog and bad news. We held him there until the cruiser lights turned our gravel blue. The kid had gloves, zip ties, a canister. We didn't order on the footage. You could see them crawling low, like they knew our angles, waiter. A cop I trust pulled me aside and said he'd started talking. Said he was hired off the books through a contractor, tied to someone on the board. First name with a K. I didn't smile, but I felt the air change like when a storm finally decides what it wants to do. We followed the money. The way you follow water downhill, with Deputy Harris at my kitchen table and coffee strong enough to strip paint. We pulled filings until an LLC popped like a prairie dog head. Silver Horizons. Redevelopment registered. Agent Blake. Trent, majority owner. 51%. Karen Riley. And there it was. Permis filed 3 months earlier to survey ag tracts for residential transition. Right about when the peppermint bark stopped appearing and the smile at the lake turned into a rule. You know what I mean? The twist wasn't that they hated farms. It was that they loved a cheap one. We took the footage, the chemical results, the confession, snips the roadblock photos, and a stack of dates to the county prosecutor. A woman who can add, while she breathes. She got a search warrant for the HOA office, unmarked SUVs out front. Evidence boxes going into vans like a parade you don't want to be in. And then a board member, Davis, the same guy who brought his loafers to my gate on day 1, flipped for immunity. He brought minutes from closed sessions and a blessed email thread titled Phase 2 Pressure Points. It read like a manual for legal harassment. Close access roads with temporary construction. Initiate overlapping code and environmental complaints from anonymous sources. Stage night. Drops of banned chemicals along the border list dates. Assign volunteers. Track progress. I watched Laura turn pages like she was holding a family album that someone had smeared with grease. My hands shook, and not from coffee, and I kept saying to myself, we really weren't crazy. We really were under siege. Damage doesn't vanish when truth arrives. The North Line tested dirty across 50 acres out of rotation for at least 2 seasons. While remediation did its slow right work. Contracts don't boomerang just because the news trucks learn your name. But people showed up. A Nashville food truck chain asked about grass. Fed a hospital cafeteria, asked for produce. A neighbor who used to give us the side eye over hormones brought a pie and an apology that tasted like bourbon and peach. Cassie came home weekends running soil tests for extra credit. Lucas dug trenches and learned that carrying irrigation pipe makes you better on the offensive line than any gym membership. And we hired a lawyer named Malcolm who wears bolo ties and prefers the Constitution to small talk. He filed civil suits against Karen Silver Horizons and the HOA itself. Property damage, business interruption, environmental tampering, attempted extortion. He subpoenaed, meeting minutes, internal emails, badge logs, vendor contracts, the kind of stack you drop on a table and hear the wood complain. They floated settlement. I said, I wanted sunlight. I wanted people who think HOA means pool rules to see what a clipboard can do when someone decides your life would look better on their spreadsheet. The courthouse morning felt like a county fair, and awake half the room came for drama half, because they live under rules written by people who never lifted anything heavier than a Xerox box. Karen walked in wearing beige armor and a face like she smelled something. Malcolm opened. Straight told the story's clean farmer, targeted by a coordinated scheme to drive down value and force a sale. Then he clicked the projector, and the emails did the talking. Phase 2 pressure points line by line, dates assignments, follow-ups. We played the night footage where the kid tackled by Moose and Panic yelled a name that wasn't mine. The defense said, out of context, said Dua. Davis was unstable, said Karen. Didn't know the judge's glasses slid down, and her patience slid with them. The jury didn't take long, unanimous of Karen. Riley liable for environmental damage, business, sabotage, attempted coercion. Silver Horizons dissolved. HOA found institutionally negligent assets. Frozen damages awarded. $3 million. That didn't feel like a lottery. Just like justice weighed and measured and written down. I didn't cheer. I exhaled and realized I'd been half holding my breath for months. We paid our people first overtime, made whole bonuses for the days we turned a goat path into a freight route because someone staged a fake breakdown. Remediation crews went to work, and the soil began to breathe again. If you don't think dirt can talk, you've never watched a dead patch come back green the cattle settled. The wind sounded softer. Maybe that's just a farmer getting sentimental. Or maybe you really can hear peace. Silver Creek imploded. 3 resignations in a week. Residents held emergency meetings that felt like group therapy, with coffee and clipboards. They voted to dissolve the HOA, a community. Board took its place with county rec folks. On the lake management, Blue Creek Reservoir, open to the public, wheels with a pulse. Imagine that. And one Saturday, a year later, we backed the truck up to the water with folding chairs and a dented grill. Kids arguing over tongs. June, humming. Moose, snoring like a tractor, with a good carburetor. Neighbors pulling up with pies and beer and stories about how they'd believed rumors until they didn't. And I looked across 3,000 acres and thought about cost, not just money. Sleep, dignity, the way a letter can make your hands shake, the way a dog can change a night, the way truth takes its time, but still shows up. And I told myself worth it. Here's where folks start arguing in the comments. Some HOAs keep grass cut and porches safe. Some neighbors mean well, but power, plus distance from the work, becomes a dangerous math paper. Can cut deeper than wire if you use it right or wrong. And if Moose hadn't barked, if the kid hadn't said a name, if Davis hadn't flipped, we might still be under a pile of anonymous reports while a shell company circled. You know what I mean, though. Tell me, where's the line between community and control? When does a rule protect, and when does it become a weapon? Have you lived a quiet paper war? Did you win or take the hit? Drop a comment and stake your ground. Tell me if you think Karen was just one bad actor or a symptom of a bigger sickness. Tell me where you're watching from and what you'd have done at that gate. I'm listening. And a lot of folks who feel small under big clipboards are listening too.